I want to do this live, short and sweet. Ontario's Teachers Federation pumping out the ads all over the radio, slamming Donald J. Trump and saying that the federal government is responsible for education in Canada and that we have to stop policies like Donald J. Trump's because the teachers know best. This is what they're teaching children in Ontario. Now, folks, I'm a welder by trade. That's what I do. But I've been all over the world in constitutional studies from the highest levels of Canada and the entire world. The entire world. Now, what the Ontario teachers are lying about, it's the fact that why is it called Ontario Teachers Federation? Why is it Alberta Teachers Association? I can go province by province by province and continue to showcase you provincial association after provincial association or federation. Well, there's an easy answer to that. Education in this country is under Section 92, a provincial power. It is not listed as a federal power, aka it's not in the driving lane of the federal government, meaning the federal government has zero business diverting any tax dollars federally to education. It's entirely up to the provincial government. 100%. And teachers, the Ontario Teachers Federation, all teachers teaching your children can't even tell you this. They can't even read their own constitution, own binding laws that are supposed to run this country. They're saying that it doesn't matter what the law is. We're going to create new laws out of thin air. We're not going to follow the Constitution. This is a major, major problem with Canada entirely. Provincial associations lying to your children and parents, telling you Trump is bad because Donald J. Trump is staying within the federal government's lanes, meaning not stealing the powers and responsibilities of the provincial government. Where does education funding come from? It's supposed to be from your property taxes. Last time I checked, besides British Columbia, Ontario generates the largest source per person per capita of property taxes in the entire country other than British Columbia. It's Ontario, second place. Massive, massive funds. Why are they not reinvested into education? Why is the Ontario Teachers Association Federation not in their lane demanding Doug Ford pay for the funding of schools? Why is it the entire country must serve Ontario's Teachers Association? Why is that when it's guaranteed as a provincial power, meaning not general funding from federal taxation? If you don't live in Ontario, you're not to fund Ontario education. If you don't own a property and pay property taxes on Ontario, you're not responsible for education. So why is it the Ontario Teachers Association Federation believes, even though they're entirely created and mandated by the province, meaning they're not incorporated as a society, an association, or union in the federal government, because again, they're created out of the province, not the federal government. So why do they demand that all Canadian taxpayers fund Ontario's education system? Why? And why are you teaching the children of Ontario that? Why are you propagating that on the radio all over the GTA? Why are you doing that? Why are you saying Trump is bad because he's placing education back in the states where it belongs, not the federal government? The federal government doesn't regulate education. Neither does the Canadian government. So when they do, they're stealing money and general revenue for all the federal lane items and rediverting it to Ontario's education, which is wrong, wrong, wrong. This is a major malfunction of Canada. People talk about transfers, federal transfers throughout the provinces. It's illegal. The Ontario's Federation teachers are illegal, and they're telling you to break the law. They're demanding money from sources that are not to be diverted to Ontario's education. Numero uno one that's wrong with Canada. Now, if you want to be communist, follow Ontario Teachers Federation. They're well on their way to propagating communism in Canada. That's right. Can't even follow their own laws, and apparently there isn't any laws anymore in Canada. There's only communism. Mark Carney, Pierre Poilievre, Jagmeet Singh, Yves Blanchette. This is how Canada rolls now. This is how we roll. Please, everybody, share, because I am more of a teacher than any teachers in Ontario. I can at least tell you how your country runs. I can give real civics training, not lies by socialists and fascists who propagate messages from a centralized authority without any legal authority of such. Entirely. Section 92, provincial powers. You will find education there. In fact, you'll find an unimaginable amount of things that are the province's responsibility. So when your federal tax dollars are being diverted to other provinces and all these transfer schemes, realize you're being bled to support people in other provinces where their provincial revenues are to cover that, not federal. That's where a country's screwed. That's why we're still in a colony state. It's called a pyramid scheme, and we're radically shifting towards communism. Well, folks, that's my video. Share, share, share. It myth busts entirely and proves that the Ontario Teachers Federation is completely inept, completely teaching wrong civics, absolutely, entirely against the highest laws of Canada, if you believe in Canada's laws, because apparently some are forced to obey the laws and others make them up as they go, and there's no accountability because we're in a pyramid scheme. The higher you are on the pyramid, the less amount of accountability and responsibility you have. You can break the law at will, and there's no accountability. You can even teach the children under the Crown's lies as many lies as you want. You can propagate that all over the TV. You can slam Donald J. Trump for obeying the law, holding the 50 states to account. Yeah, holding them to account. Isn't that a good idea? We start tracking our tax dollars and we start sourcing and saying, hey, why are you blowing all my tax revenue from this source that's entirely for education? Where is that money? Who's putting it up their nose? Are the teachers putting it up their nose? Probably. Hate to say that, but it's true. And it's sad, it's gross, and it's wrong. It's what's always been wrong with this country. Share, share, share. Get it out there. God bless. Bye now.